John Matthews was a man who seemed to have it all: wealth, prestige, and an illustrious career as one of the top architects in the city. Yet, despite his success, there was a deep void in his life. The constant pressure, relentless demands from clients, and the superficial relationships that surrounded him left him feeling hollow. He had grown weary of the fast-paced, high-stakes world of urban life. Something was missing, something far more profound than anything money or fame could buy. In search of peace and a simpler life, John made the bold decision to leave everything behind. He packed up his belongings and left the bustling city for a quaint, picturesque town nestled in the heart of the countryside. With its cobbled streets, blooming flower gardens, and close-knit community, the town offered the serenity John had been longing for. As John settled into his new life, he quickly became something of an enigma to the town's residents. He was quiet and reserved, a man of few words, but with an air of sophistication that was unusual in their humble village. Most days, John spent his time taking long walks along the riverside, sketching architectural designs, and rediscovering a passion for life outside of work. One sunny afternoon, as John explored the town square, he was drawn to a small bakery with the sweet scent of freshly baked bread wafting through the air. The sign above the door read Maria's Bakery. Curious and hungry, John stepped inside, not knowing that this simple decision would change the course of his life. The bakery was cozy, with rustic wooden shelves lined with pastries, cakes, and loaves of bread. Behind the counter stood Maria, a woman with a kind smile and warm brown eyes. She was wiping flour from her hands when she noticed John's entrance. The first thing he noticed was the peaceful aura she carried. Something about her reminded him of the tranquility he sought in this town. "Good afternoon. What can I get for you?" Maria asked, her voice soft and welcoming. John hesitated for a moment, scanning the array of baked goods before him. "I'll have a coffee and one of those scones," he replied, gesturing to a tray of freshly baked scones. Maria handed him his order, and as their hands briefly touched, John felt a strange sense of calm. He took a seat by the window, savoring the scone and watching Maria as she busied herself with her work. There was something about her that intrigued him, though he couldn't quite put his finger on it. This was the beginning of something neither John nor Maria could have anticipated, a connection that would soon grow deeper with every encounter. In the weeks that followed, John found himself returning to Maria's Bakery almost every day. It wasn't just the delicious pastries or the aromatic coffee that kept drawing him back. It was Maria herself, her quiet strength, the way she carried herself with grace despite the burden she bore, captivated him. Maria, on the other hand, had noticed the tall, brooding architect who had suddenly become a regular customer. There was an air of mystery about him. He was clearly not from around here, and yet he fit into the town's rhythm as though he had always belonged. Over time, their brief exchanges at the counter grew into longer conversations. John would linger after his coffee, and Maria, during slow afternoons, would sit with him, wiping her hands on her apron as they talked. They shared their stories. John opened up about his life in the city, the pressure, the isolation, and his desire to find something more meaningful. Maria spoke of her late husband, who had passed away several years ago, leaving her to run the bakery on her own. It had been their shared dream, but after his death, Maria had dedicated herself entirely to keeping the bakery alive. "I didn't think I'd be doing this alone," Maria confessed one afternoon, her voice tinged with sadness. "But the bakery is all I have left of him. It's my way of keeping his memory alive." John listened intently, moved by her resilience and strength. He could sense the weight of the loss she carried, and for the first time in a long while, he felt an emotional connection to someone. It wasn't long before the townspeople began to take notice of John and Maria's budding friendship. Whispers spread about the mysterious architect and the kind-hearted baker, but neither John nor Maria paid any mind to the gossip. They had found comfort in each other's company, and that was all that mattered. As their friendship deepened, John began to spend more time at the bakery, helping Maria with small tasks during the busy hours. He would occasionally fix a leaky pipe or offer advice on ways to improve the shop's layout. Maria, though grateful, was hesitant to accept too much help. The bakery was her sanctuary, the one thing she had built with her own hands. But one day, as John watched Maria struggle with a broken shelf, he offered something more. "Maria, I'd like to help you renovate the bakery," he said. "I can redesign the interior, make it more efficient for you and more welcoming for your customers. You deserve it." Maria was taken aback by his offer. She had never asked for help, and the thought of changing anything about the bakery made her nervous. But as she looked at John, she saw the sincerity in his eyes. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice uncertain. "I'm sure," John replied. "Let me do this for you." After some deliberation, Maria agreed. Over the next few weeks, John drew up plans to give the bakery a fresh look while keeping its rustic charm. He worked tirelessly, redesigning the space to make it more open and inviting. Together, they repainted the walls, built new shelves, and added cozy seating areas where customers could enjoy their treats. As they worked side by side, their bond grew even stronger. They shared stories and laughter, finding joy in the simple act of creating something beautiful together. Maria admired John's dedication, and John admired Maria's unwavering determination. It was clear to both of them that what had started as a friendship was slowly blossoming into something more one evening. After a long day of renovating the bakery, John and Maria sat on the front steps, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, and the air was warm with the scent of summer. They sat in comfortable silence, each lost in their own thoughts, until John spoke. "Maria, I never thought I'd find peace like this," he said quietly. "Not after everything." Maria turned to him, her heart racing. "I didn't think I'd find it either. Not after losing him." There was a long pause as the weight of their words hung in the air. Then, without thinking, John reached for Maria's hand. She hesitated for a moment, but then gently intertwined her fingers with his. It was a simple gesture, but it carried a depth of emotion neither of them had expected. "I don't want to rush anything," John said, his voice soft. "But I care about you, Maria, more than I ever thought I would." Maria looked into his eyes, her heart full of conflicting emotions. She had sworn off love after her husband's death, believing that her heart was too broken to ever heal. But John had brought something back to life in her, a sense of hope, a possibility of happiness she hadn't dared to dream of. "I care about you too, John," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. In that moment, under the setting sun, the first seeds of love were planted. As the weeks passed, John and Maria's relationship blossomed into a full-fledged romance. Their once simple friendship had grown into something deeper, something neither of them could deny. They spent more time together, not just working on the bakery, but exploring the countryside, sharing quiet dinners, and talking late into the night. The bakery renovations were completed, and the new space was an instant hit with the locals. Business boomed, and Maria's bakery became the talk of the town. But more than that, Maria and John found joy in each other's company. Their love was a slow burn, steady and unwavering, built on trust and mutual respect. For the first time in a long while, John felt truly content. He had found not only peace, but also love in the most unexpected of places. And as for Maria, she had rediscovered a part of herself she thought was lost forever, the ability to open her heart to love again. Together, they were ready to embark on a new chapter of their lives, one filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. Months had passed since John and Maria's relationship blossomed into a full-fledged romance. Their bond deepened with each passing day, built on shared dreams, mutual support, and the quiet understanding that came from two souls who had been through life's trials. The bakery had not only become a thriving business, but also a symbol of their love, a place where their journey together truly began. As the bakery grew in popularity, John began to notice the potential for even more success. The small town was no longer enough to contain their ambitions. He saw the possibility of expanding the business into nearby towns, bringing Maria's exceptional baking and warm hospitality to more people. But he didn't want to rush into anything without her approval. One evening, after closing up shop, John sat Maria down at one of the tables they had built together. "Maria," he began, his voice filled with excitement, "I've been thinking about something. What if we expand the bakery? We could open another location in the next town over. There's demand for something like this, and I believe we can make it work." Maria was taken aback. She had always been content with the small, cozy bakery she had built with her late husband, but John's enthusiasm was contagious. She trusted him, and more importantly, she trusted their partnership. "Do you really think we can do it?" Maria asked, her voice tinged with both excitement and hesitation. "I don't just think we could do it. I know we can," John replied, taking her hand in his. "You've built something incredible here, Maria. People love your bakery, and we have the chance to grow it even further. You won't be alone in this. I'll be with you every step of the way." Maria thought about it for a moment. Expanding the business meant change, something she had been reluctant to embrace since her husband's death. But with John by her side, everything felt different. He had brought new life into her world, and she realized she was ready to take on the challenge. "All right," Maria said with a smile. "Let's do it." And with that, they embarked on a new chapter in their journey together, not just as romantic partners, but as business partners as well. The decision to expand the bakery was met with excitement from the townspeople, who had grown fond of John and Maria's relationship and their thriving business. Word spread quickly, and soon the next town over was buzzing with anticipation for the new bakery. John used his architectural skills to design a new, modern bakery that maintained the warmth and charm of Maria's original shop. He oversaw the construction, while Maria focused on perfecting new recipes and training staff to ensure that the same love and care she put into her baking would carry over to the new location. Opening day was a resounding success. People from both towns flocked to the new bakery, eager to taste Maria's famous pastries and experience the welcoming atmosphere. Business boomed, and it wasn't long before John and Maria realized they had something truly special on their hands. Despite the growing demands of their expanding business, John and Maria made sure to prioritize their relationship. They knew that success meant nothing if they didn't have each other. Every evening, no matter how busy their day had been, they would sit together, share a meal, and talk about their dreams for the future. One night, after a particularly long day of work, John looked at Maria and smiled. "I never imagined my life would turn out like this," he said. "But I'm so glad it did." Maria reached for his hand, her eyes filled with love. "Me too, John. I never thought I'd find happiness again. But you've shown me that love can come when you least expect it." They both knew that what they had was rare. A love built not just on attraction, but on mutual respect, shared goals, and a deep emotional connection. As John and Maria's bakery business continued to grow, so did the challenges they faced. Managing multiple locations required more time, more energy, and more coordination than they had anticipated. They hired new staff, including managers to help oversee the day-to-day operations. But the workload was still heavy. There were days when John would come home late, exhausted from meetings with suppliers or dealing with construction delays. Maria, too, found herself spending long hours in the kitchen, testing new recipes and ensuring the quality of the products remained consistent. Their time together became more limited, and they could feel the strain on their relationship. One evening, after a particularly stressful day, John and Maria sat down to talk. "I feel like we're losing ourselves in all of this," Maria admitted, her voice heavy with fatigue. "We've been so focused on the business that we haven't had time for us." John nodded in agreement. "You're right. I've been so caught up in making sure everything runs smoothly that I've forgotten why we started this in the first place. We wanted to build something together, but we also wanted to live a life full of love and happiness." They both knew that something needed to change. They had worked hard to build a successful business, but they didn't want to lose the love and connection that had brought them together in the first place. "I think we need to take a step back," John suggested. "We can hire more staff, delegate more tasks, and make time for ourselves. The business will keep growing, but we can't let it consume us." Maria smiled, relieved that John felt the same way. "I think that's a great idea. Let's make sure we don't lose sight of what's most important to us." With that decision, they began to reprioritize their lives. They hired a general manager to oversee the day-to-day operations of the bakery, giving them more time to focus on each other and their relationship. They also set aside time each week for date nights, weekend getaways, and moments of quiet togetherness. With their business flourishing and their relationship stronger than ever, John knew that it was time to take the next step. He had always been a man of planning and precision, but when it came to Maria, he realized that love didn't need a perfect plan, it just needed the right moment. One evening, after a quiet dinner at their favorite spot by the riverside, John led Maria on a walk through the town. The sky was a soft pink as the sun set, casting a romantic glow over the cobblestone streets. They strolled hand in hand, reminiscing about how far they had come, both personally and professionally. As they approached the bakery, John stopped in front of the door. He looked at Maria, his heart racing, knowing that this was the moment he had been waiting for. "Maria," John began, his voice filled with emotion. "You've changed my life in ways I never thought possible. You've shown me what love truly means, and I can't imagine my life without you by my side." Maria's eyes welled with tears as she listened to his heartfelt words. John reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a simple yet elegant diamond ring. "Will you marry me, Maria? Will you be my partner in life, just as you've been my partner in everything else?" Tears streamed down Maria's face as she nodded, unable to find the words. "Yes, John," she whispered. "1,000 times yes." John slipped the ring onto her finger, and they embraced, their hearts full of love and joy. It was a moment they would both remember for the rest of their lives. A promise of a future filled with love, laughter, and the continued adventure of building a life together. John and Maria's wedding was a small, intimate affair, held in the town where their love had blossomed. Surrounded by friends, family, and the townspeople who had watched their journey unfold, they exchanged vows under the shade of a large oak tree in the town square. It was a day filled with love, laughter, and heartfelt moments. Maria wore a simple white dress, and John, in a tailored suit, couldn't take his eyes off her. As they stood before their loved ones, promising to love and cherish each other for the rest of their lives, they both knew that this was the beginning of something truly special. After the wedding, they took a honeymoon to a secluded beach, where they spent their days basking in the sun and enjoying each other's company. It was a much-needed break from the busy lives they had been leading, and it gave them time to reconnect and reflect on everything they had achieved together. When they returned home, they continued to grow their business, opening more bakery locations in nearby towns. But this time, they made sure to balance work with their personal lives. They hired more staff, delegated more tasks, and made time for the things that truly mattered: each other, their family, and the life they were building together. A year after their wedding, Maria gave birth to their first child, a beautiful baby girl named Emma. 2 years later, they welcomed a second child, a boy named Lucas. Their family was complete, and their lives were filled with love, laughter, and the joy of raising their children together. John and Maria's love story was one that many admired. A tale of two people who found each other when they least expected it, who built a life and a business together, and who never lost sight of what truly mattered: love, family, and the simple joys of life. And so, John, Maria, and their children lived happily ever after, their love continuing to grow with each passing day, a testament to the power of love, partnership, and the beauty of life's unexpected turns. Hope you enjoyed this story. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel. Your participation is essential so that we can continue to bring you more incredible stories. Share it with your friends to help our channel grow. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.